Highway 19 comes out of Dahlonega, which is of course where the gold rush began in the 1830s. You're really going through Cherokee country. I mean, this is where the Cherokee Nation lived. If you follow Highway 19 north out of Dahlonega, you will come to what's now called Stonepile Gap, which is Trilita's grave when she was a Cherokee woman, according to legend, who lived near there, who wanted to be buried in her beloved mountains. This is supposedly her grave. If you take a right there, you will follow Highway 19 as it goes on toward Blairsville. And while it's doing that, it's going through the Chattahoochee National Forest, which is like 837,000 acres that goes through 26 counties. I mean, you're obviously not in all of it, but you're driving through the Chattahoochee National Forest. If you don't turn right on Highway 19 and continue on Highway 60, you'll eventually get to Suches, which is also a beautiful drive. But Highway 19 will take you over to Turner's Corner. There's a nice little historic cafe there that's been there since 1928. It's a lot of fun to eat lunch there. It's a very small place. It sits right on the river. Actually, it sits on Boggs Creek. If you make a left on Highway 19, you'll continue to go through the National Forest, Boggs Creek flowing on your left, and you'll eventually start winding around those roads, climbing, climbing, climbing. You're ascending all the way, and eventually you're going to come to the Blood Mountain Cabins, which is at 3,000 feet. It's, I think, the highest place in Georgia that you can actually rent a nice little rustic cabin. But if you drive up Highway 19 in October, peak weekend or early November, it really is stunning. It's breathtaking. And I would highly recommend people do that. It's beautiful in the summer as well. I mean, it's just a nice drive. It's one of my favorite drives because you do pass. You're going through the Chattahoochee National Forest and you're going past some of these historic places. For me, it's personal because this is where I grew up. My parents took me along this route when I was very young. But I understand now that Highway 19 has been there for 80 years, and I think it follows probably an old Cherokee path. So you really get the sense of the history of the North Georgia mountains driving up Highway 19. If you continue on Highway 19, you come to Sunrise Grocery, which has been there since the 1920s. It's owned by my friend Jason Clemens. You can go there and find the brass monkey that's hidden, and if you do, you get a free bag of boiled peanuts. So that's fun to do. If it was a warm day, like it is right now, and I've done this many times, I would drive up Highway 19, and you can do this at any number of places. But I would go down to a place called Pappy's, and you can park there, and then I would raft down the Nottely River for a couple of miles because the water is cold. It's not frigid, but it will feel really good on a hot summer day. You'll pass Vogel State Park, which is historic in its own right. It was the second, I think, state park in Georgia, donated from land from the Vogel family in 1927, who were German timbermen, I think, and they donated the land. And Vogel State Park, I call it 233 acres of heaven. I mean, it's this little small little jewel. They dammed up Wolf Creek and created Lake Trilita there, and it's beautiful in the fall because the leaves around the lake usually are in glorious color. There's 3 hiking trails in Vogel. There's campsites. It's a place where many people have gone. There's a walking trail where there are bricks laid out, similar to what we have around Forsyth Park, the fountain in Forsyth Park, with people's names and family names and memories. And Vogel was literally built by, again, the CCC boys in the 1930s. So their presence is everywhere. These little beautiful stone walls and stone cabins. It's sort of a walk through history just to go in there. There are 3 good hiking trails in Vogel of various lengths. One of them is just around the lake, which again is named for Lake Trilita. It's a man-made lake that was formed when they dammed up Wolf Creek, which runs through the park. There's a longer trail that's about 4 miles, which is really good for families to do. It's a nice little day hike called the Bear Hair Gap Trail. And then there's a longer 12-mile trail, which is usually an overnight backpacking trip. But they have campsites at Vogel. There's a putt-putt golf course there. There's just this great hiking just around the park. As I said, it's right in the heart of Cherokee country. It's at the base of Blood Mountain, which is my absolute favorite hike. Blood Mountain's about 4,400 feet, and you can see it from the park. It's gorgeous at any time of year, and it's a place where I think people often go back to. You see people every year vacationing there. They have cabins that you can rent. But to me, there's just no better place to go. It's got it all. It's got a wonderful waterfall right there. as well. You were asking about that earlier. And it's close by a lot of other things. There are lots of hiking trails close by, a lot of waterfalls close by, a lot of just scenic drives that are just fun to do any time of the year. So there's these little pieces of history that date back to the New Deal, along with all of this wonderful scenery. There's this gorgeous place to go. And Vogel is just one of those places where you can go and sit by the lake in a swing. They have 2 and 3 person swings all around the lake, spaced far enough apart. I've spent many afternoons there with a book, sitting in these swings, listening to the water. Someone's fishing close by. Everybody kind of respects each other's. It's just a wonderful place to go and renew your spirit and really to go back and kind of face the realities of the modern world that we all live in. Thank God for the people who had the vision to build these places as sort of little havens where we would all need to go and refresh our spirit, renew ourselves from time to time.